Welcome back, y'all. So today we're gonna build a super simple finish cart. Come join me.
So this is the design that I came up with. It's a really simple 4 foot by 4 foot cart. I have it set to be 33.5 inches tall because my outfeed table is 34 inches tall. I wanted it just a little bit shorter so I could just scooch the material off of my assembly bench onto this mobile cart so I can move it and for finishes. So we need 4 pieces that are 4 feet long. We need 10 pieces that are 45 inches long, and then we need 4 legs that are going to be 29.5 inches tall. My casters that I'm going to be using are 4 inches tall, so that should bring it up to the final height of 33.5. So let's go ahead and work on getting those 2x4s cut.
We got all 4 legs cut to size. We got 4 cross braces cut to size, so we only need 6 more cross braces, and then we can work on the legs. We got the legs cut. That means everything's cut for this project. So when I was going over the original cut list, I made an oopsie, which seems to happen every project with me. The plywood was not taken into account for the workbench top, so the legs are not actually 29.5. They are 28 and 13/16, which should bring us up to the total height that we're looking for. So now that everything's cut, let's go ahead and start getting this assembled.
Okay, so I have the top frame assembled. Biggest thing you want to make sure is that you put your 4-foot pieces on the outsides and make sure that your shorter pieces are put on the inside of the 2x4s. I put some extra braces in here just so it'll support any weight that I throw at it. The casters I have are rated for about 175 pounds a piece, so I wanted to make sure the table was going to be able to handle that. So I put marks every foot on the 4-foot sections and then just eyeballed the cross braces. I'm going to go ahead and get the bottom done, and then we should be able to get the legs attached. So I got the frame of the bottom put together. Unfortunately, one of the 2x4s that I cut was fairly bowed, so I'm not going to be able to use it. So I'm just going to put the 2 remaining cross braces that I have in there and space them out about 16 inches apart, so they're roughly even, and then we'll get the legs attached to the top. We got the legs attached. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Got the bottom frame done, legs are all secured. We're gonna go ahead and get this on the floor so we can get the casters on, and then we're gonna work on attaching the top. We got a little table too. Happy accident. These are the casters that I bought from Home Depot. They're rated for 175 pounds a piece. They do have a locking mechanism on the back here. To get these attached, I'm gonna go ahead and use 1 1/4 inch screws. I am gonna have to put a 1/4 inch washer on them as well though, because the holes on the top of the caster are a little bit thicker than what a normal screw head would, and then it'll just go right through. All right, we got all casters attached to the bottom. We're gonna go ahead and flip it over and make sure it rolls freely. Aw yeah, smooth like butter. Now that we have the cart flipped over and everything works properly, we're gonna go ahead and work on getting the top attached. I would recommend locking the casters just to make sure your cart doesn't go flying across your workshop. And we're gonna use a couple of clamps to secure the top until we can get the screws in there, and then we'll take a level to make sure everything's flat.
roughly clamped in place. I'm going to take a 4-foot level and run it across both sides just to try and level out the top the best I can. I had to make a couple adjustments to make sure the top was level. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is not going to be a workbench or an assembly table. This is just a finishing table. So it doesn't need to be 100% perfect, but I wanted to make sure it was as level as possible. I'm going to go ahead and get some screws attached into the legs, and then we can move on to the next step. There. Ooh, I pooed it. I pooed it. Last step I gotta do is to cut this down to size and attach it to the top. This is a scrap piece of plywood that I've been laying around my shop for a little bit that I'm just gonna use up. It's a decent piece of plywood, but I don't really have any other need for it right now, so it's perfect surface top. Okay, I have the top measured out for the first cut. I'm gonna use my track saw to make my life a little easier. You could also use a circular saw or a jigsaw on this. If you're gonna use either one of those, I would recommend a straight edge just to give yourself the straightest cut possible. But you could also freehand it if you don't have one. Safety glasses. All right, there we go. Tabletop's all cut to size. All we gotta do is screw it in place. There we go. Nice solid finishing table. Now you could I'm gonna add one more thing to make my life a little easier. I'm gonna start using resin paper when I finish just to make my life a little easier on cleanup. And then that way I don't have to replace the top as often. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a 1-inch dowel and attach it to the side of the cart. That'll allow me to put the resin paper roll on there so I can just unroll it and cut it to the size I need. And then when I'm done with the projects, I can just dispose of the paper. So there we go, my finished cart is completed. This is a really fun project to do. This is something that anyone could do over the course of a weekend. It took me about 4 to 5 hours total time from start to finish. This is also a very scalable project. I've been building carts like this for about 10 years. My first workbench was a 2 foot by 4 foot version of this. So most of the carts that I have, most of the mobile carts in my shop that I have are built in the very same manner. So if you want to make this bigger or smaller, you could definitely do that. If you have any questions about the build, leave a comment. I'm going to try and respond to all my comments that I get on my videos. I appreciate you watching. Please like and share this and subscribe for future videos.